Welcome to the Baker and Timo Show. My name is Timo, and this is episode 4 of our Seattle Kraken Franchise Series. Welcome back to What's Kraken. I'm your host, Donald Kowski, and today we're talking about Seattle's 9-10-1 start on the season with 6 wins in their last 10 games. We're going to take some calls, and we have a caller on the line now, so let's check in with them.
Hey there, how you doing? Fan of the team ever since it expanded.
Pleasure to have you on the show. So what are your thoughts on the Kraken's performance so far this season? Do you think the team should be considering any moves to bolster this team's chance of success?
You know, it's funny you asked that. I was having a debate with a buddy the other night. He said that it needs to be kind of a sink or swim moment. You know, like, does Seattle make a move for this season, or do you play the long game? I kind of argued on the side of the long game. I think you've got a fresh team that is still finding its legs. I think you ride the season out for a little while longer and you see what goes on.
Now, Seattle is in a bit of a cap crunch with only about $3 million in cap space currently. Do you think the management should consider bringing up Lebda, who was their 5th overall pick this season? Perhaps they could consider moving out a D-man for a possible top 6 forward if that were the scenario.
You know, I was very happy with management when they decided to take Lebda 5th overall. Obviously, the guy is going to be a really good defenseman, but I think what management has to be careful on is not ruining this guy. You look and yeah, his numbers are good in the minors right now, but do you keep him down there with a good core to develop him, or do you risk bringing him up too early? Like I say, with an expansion team, it's very hard. I think you've got to really ride it out. Obviously, with Vegas having expanded into the draft rather a few years ago, I think you've got teams that were a little bit more prepared when Seattle entered the league with ways around protecting players. So I think it's been a tough start, but we'll get there.
Well, we appreciate your time and we hope to hear from you again soon. Let's go back to the lines and check in with our next caller. If you want your voice to be heard, feel free to give us a shout or tweet us at NHL. So, as you just heard on the radio show, you know, we're 9-10-1 to start this season through 20 games played, just below 500. You know, we've got our fans, I think, questioning whether or not we should be making a push to pick up a player that could either help our offense or defense, no matter what it needs to be, or if we should be holding off. You know, we do have a first round pick that is considerably, it could be worth quite a bit depending on where we land. You know, through 20 games played, I believe we're currently, there we are at 5th in our own division, the Pacific Division, which isn't going to be enough, obviously, to, get us into the playoffs. We can take a look at the full standings. I believe we'd be sitting at 25th, I want to say is where we landed within the entire league, so we'll take a quick look at that as well. I don't know. I'm not sure if now is the time to be, pulling the trigger in terms of making a move. I think we can wait to go a little bit closer to the deadline. There we are at 25th overall. We have the St. Louis Blues nipping at our heels there, so I don't know. I'm just not sure that now is the time to be making that move. We had also discussed on the radio show, looking at players such as Lebda. If we were to move somebody out, we do have Lebda in the system. We also have Verhaeghe, who could possibly come up and get some playing time on the 3rd or 4th line for us. He's doing fairly well in the minors. He has a 75 on draws, so he could either slot in where, Rodriguez is on our 4th line or somewhere else. But Lebda is our draftee. You heard our recent caller saying maybe we shouldn't be rushing him, and perhaps he's right. I think obviously if we were going to make a move, we do have Mayfield currently as a scratch player for us in terms of defense, so that would be probably who we'd slot in if we did make a move. He's only got a cap hit of 1.4 and he's already being counted against the cap anyways, so because that's the problem. We don't have a lot of cap space, right? We don't have a lot of cap space. These are our lines currently, and I do think that they look good, but I do think that we could also have, somebody stronger than Anderson or stronger than Gurionov, in either of those spots. So if either of those guys were to move out, then they would probably move down to a 3rd line, and that would make our 3rd line quite a bit stronger. Defense, I think we're in a good spot currently, but we're almost too strong at defense. We could considering, moving out somebody like Burns, who admittedly doesn't have a ton of a trade value, but I do think that there is a possible trade to be made there. What we're going to do though is we're going to sim ahead. We're going to sim ahead another 10 games, and because I don't want to push it. I don't want to make the trades too soon. I don't want to be pulling the trigger too soon, so to say. So we're going to get ahead another 10 games. That would be the Columbus game, I believe. Where's the Columbus? There it is. So we're going to go to here, and we're just going to see how it goes. Hopefully this team performs well. Hopefully we get on the right track. I think we've been getting closer and closer to being at that point. So let's just let's get into this image. Let's do it. All right. We should take a look at our draft class after this as well. All right, so we dropped the first one. Not a great loss. All right, so Brock Nelson needs to talk to us about something. All right, what's up, Brock? All right, so he says right now he doesn't think he's performing the best of his abilities. I mean, that's fair. We could see more out of him. Do we agree or do we persuade? I think I'm going to stick with agree for this one. I think that's the right choice. Let him figure it out. You know what I mean? What do you say to that, Brock? He needs better chemistry with his line mates. See, now we've put ourselves in a situation. He has good chemistry. To get him better chemistry would be actually very difficult. So, this is a tough one. More minutes a night, maybe? And then we get him on... You know what? I think we're going to have to disagree. We just have to disagree. We can't even make this happen right now. We really can't. I don't think we can. Not within the amount of time that he would allot us in order to do this. So, unfortunately, we obviously went with the wrong route here. And this is going to be... I mean, unless we do try to make a change in terms of, the power play, the special teams to get him more time there. But I don't know if he would... consider that to be a good enough change. So, I think we have to disagree. Sorry, Brock. Ain't happening, bud. Yeah, he lost a bit of morale from that, which isn't great. But we come up with a big 3-2 win against the Kings, and then a 4-3 shootout loss. So we do come away with the point, which isn't too bad. And then a nice 3-1 win against the Canadiens. We're good on that front. All right, so we're not on a win. So there we go. We've got a couple wins back to back there. We haven't dropped. We've gotten a point out of our last 4 games, which is something that's pretty solid. St. Louis, we get another one. So now we are literally on a 3-game win streak. 4-game win streak. That's the longest in our franchise's history at this point. Make that 5. Make that. Ooh, we get a point, but we do drop it. All right, so we dropped the last 2. I will say though, I believe that's 8 out of 10 games that we got a point in, and only 2 of those were shootout losses. So we're definitely on the right track, and I don't know if making a trade right now makes sense because we are trending in the right direction. Like I said, the difference between Goose here in terms of him having a point per game is definitely that gap is widening a little bit here. But 22 points through 30 games played isn't that bad. Our top line is still doing the best out of anyone on the team. Burns is still producing really well. So the thought of trading Burns away right now is kind of a scary thought. I actually like where Gurionov is at. If he can finish the season at, just under 40 points or around 40 points, around 50%, half a point per game, that'd be pretty impressive. Palat, on the other hand, I'd like him to be producing a little bit more than he is. That could be better. That could certainly be better. So, all things considered, I mean, I am pretty happy with where we're at. I do think that, our defensive side of play could be better. I imagine if we're going to go look at our team right now and look at all skaters, we're going to have a lot more giveaways than takeaways, and that's not a good sign. We definitely need to do a better job of picking pucks. Look at Anderson. Kid's worth his weight in gold in terms of takeaways to giveaways. Goose is close to being even. Burns is bad. Our defense is where we're lacking, I think, in terms of takeaways to giveaways. So everyone else is actually doing fairly well. This is better than where we were earlier. It's more the defense that is struggling with this concept of having more takeaways to giveaways. It's all defense. So interesting too, because that top line has +5. +5 chemistry, and they're still just not getting it done. I don't know. Maybe we should be looking at changing that, but it's hard to say we should change anything when we went 6-2-2 in our last 10 games. I mean, we pulled points out of 8 out of 10 games there. So let's see where we are in the standings now. The Kraken in 3rd within our division. That's not too bad. Looking pretty good at this point. I like the looks of that. Honestly, this is, I don't think we're in a position to be making any moves right now. Look at us, 3rd within our division. Let's see where we are in the league. 30 games played. I think we've probably made pretty big moves here. We must have. I mean, yeah, there we are. 14th. Can you imagine? We just went from 25th to 14th. That's pretty incredible. I'm incredibly happy with where this team's at. I think our last caller was correct, and I think, staying the course for now is probably the right opportunity. I don't know. We've got an interesting season ahead of us. Depending on where we land up, it might not even make sense to hold on to our first round pick. We could look at a way to maybe package a pick and a player for an upgrade for our team come playoff time if we are in that situation. I think these are things that we're going to have to think about. You can see the next event there in 77 days is the trade deadline. We actually are gaining a bit of chemistry here. We have 74% chemistry, so that's actually pretty impressive. I'm happy with that. So the one last thing that I want to do here is we want to take a look at this draft class. We got to see what's available so far. We are scouting a lot of different players currently. We finished our scouting trip on Ratty, A+ competition, looking like a strong player, but ultimately 2 years until he's ready. So I'm not crazy about that. I don't think we actually have enough scouting on other players to get that readiness. We're probably going to have to go through and do some more scouting. I do that stuff outside of the episodes just because I don't want to put you guys through that. I like to manually scout, so we'll be doing some play style because that will help determine the readiness for certain players that we don't have scouting on. We do have a lot of players scouted here. I don't think we're far enough in to actually determine any gems or busts yet. Ooh, a couple busts. I take that back. Any gems though? No gems. All right, so it's going to be an interesting draft. We do have quite a few picks available to us. Whether or not that is the case once the draft rolls around is a different story. We don't exactly know that yet because we might end up making moves, whether or not we feel like we need to make a push or if the playoffs are just not obtainable and maybe we want to try to get a pick or something like that, right? So ultimately, I think we're in a decent spot. I think we're going to go check in with Donald Kowski here before we end the episode. So, you'll hear back from me in a few minutes.
Welcome back to What's Kraken. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing the Kraken's 6-2-2 record in their last 10 games. That stretch saw them rise from 25th to 14th overall in the league, which puts them firmly in 3rd place within the Pacific Division. The team's leading scorer is currently Nyquist with 22 points in 30 games. Pundits and fans alike have to be wondering if Seattle's 2.27 goals per game on the season would be enough to carry them through a potential playoff run. The Kraken now have an overall record of 15-12-3, which officially puts them over 500 for the first time in their existence. It looks as if the team is trending in the right direction. The only question is whether or not they'll stay on that path. Alright, let's go back to the lines. Feel free to call us or tweet us at NHL What's Kraken.
All right, as you heard there from Donald Kowski, this team's in a bit of an interesting scenario. We're 15-12-3 through 30 games played, trending in the right direction. So I think this team kind of has to stay put in what they're doing currently, keep doing it, and we'll see where they are closer to the trade deadline. We're 77 days away from that. So still quite a bit of time left, a lot of games between then and now. Who knows? It's hard to say where this team is going to be at that time. But we will check in with you guys on the next episode. So thank you so much for tuning into the Baker and Towel Show, and we'll see you next time.